In today's video, we're going to be discussing putting, and I've got for you a couple of real simple tips to help take out that tension from your stroke and get you to hole a few more putts. Make sure you check out this video. Jon Watts here from the TruGolf Academy. You've joined me at my short game area. In today's video, as I mentioned there in the intro, is all going to be about putting. And we're going to be simplifying putting. I'm going to be sharing with you some real simple tips that you could take to the golf course straight away to really take out the tension from your hands, help you free up your putting stroke a little bit more, hole some more putts. If you're new to my channel, you haven't already, please do consider subscribing. If you hit the little bell icon, it just notifies you every time a video comes live. At least 2 instructional videos a week, all for free. Lovely to hear from you guys as well. So put some comments, some questions below, and I can get around to filming some content that's really relevant for you. So what I was trying to do there was actually take less time over the ball. Once I looked at the hole and my eyes came back to the ball, I was trying to pull the trigger. And that's going to be one of the 3 things we're going to discuss. So I'm going to share with you some real simple ways you can take the tension out of your hands. If you can take that tension out, you're going to create better feel, you're going to create better flow in the putting stroke, almost allow that putter to work for you. What we see with poorer putters, they tend to be very tight, very tense, a lot of time stood static over the golf ball. So first tip is going to be time over the golf ball, and let me go ahead and just do that one more time. So there's no problem with spending the time reading the green, understanding break and borrow, lining the ball up, whatever you need to do. But once you're ready to go, once you're addressed the golf ball and you take that long look, and I take a couple of seconds looking down your intended ball to target line. Now I've got a chalk line here, just so you guys can see if I manage to start the ball on line, and we're obviously hitting a short range, sort of 6-footer or so. But you've got to imagine that line. Can you see that line drawn down from the golf ball to the aim point, wherever that break would be, and how it curves into the hole? Or it might be a straight putt and you're just seeing it down the line itself. But you've got to see that. When your eyes draw back to the golf ball, I want you to go. I want you to pull the trigger without that hesitation. What I tend to find is lots of little looks, and your brain just gets dizzy, confused, or a lot of static time stood here, tension building up before they pull the trigger. So the time can be in setting everything up, by all means. I'm not saying rush that part, but once I'm ready to go, look down my target line, draw my eyes back to the ball, and pull the trigger. And probably don't talk while you're doing it, but go ahead and pull the trigger as soon as your eyes come back to the ball. Have that as your go point, okay? A position where you can start the stroke. And that's a real key part. And the second tip I've got is something quite similar to that, and something I've seen a few golfers do before. Hideki, he doesn't do it anymore, but he used to hover the putter beforehand. Now, part of the reason I'd believe for that would be to take tension out the stroke. So again, there's time in setup. There was that long look at where he was going to putt to, but when his eyes drew back to the golf ball, he'd hover the putter and start the stroke. And having that putter a little bit off the floor would help if you're someone who feels like they get that putter perhaps a little bit snagged to the ground, struggles taking the putter away from the golf ball. It could be similar to how you'd hover perhaps a driver, which I do instinctively. I don't even realize to do it, I just do it. I have that the club a little bit hovered, and it can be easier to make that backstroke a little bit smoother away from the golf ball. So I'm in setup, very similar to point number 1 really, that less time over the golf ball. I'm going to look, draw my eyes back to the ball, hover. That felt a pretty good stroke, and pull the trigger. So the putter, and it's only marginal, I'm just starting with it, you'll see there on the GoPro, just off the floor level, and it may help you feel like the putter moves a little smoother away from the golf ball. I've got 2 more points. I mentioned 3. I'm actually going to add in 1 more. Sorry, there's going to be 4, but they're all simple. Point number 3, and these are all things that you could try. I'm not saying you have to do them all, but find out which ones you like, what's relevant for you, and just play around with it in practice, see what frees up your stroke a little bit more. Now, this is relevant for most. What I'm going to do, whether you have a line on the ball or whether you just go unlined blank surface, what I want you to do is just colour in one of the dimples, just with a marker pen. And I've just coloured in one of the dimples here into a blue. Could be any colour you want. And I'm going to put it down so I can see that dot. Now it might be that you want the line on the ball, so you just put the dot to the side of the ball. It doesn't matter whether it's to right or left. What I'm going to do, and this is especially relevant on these short range putts, is I'm really going to make sure my focus point is on that dot. What a lot of people are doing from close range is they can see the hole, so they worry about it and they tend to move too early. I was just teaching a very good lady golfer I've coached for a long time, but really was up and out of the stroke a little early, okay? So you didn't see it as visual as perhaps you'd see with some amateur golfers, but what we saw was tilting back, putter finishing a little bit high, eyes were almost following the ball a little soon, so we wanted to get that feeling we got our blinkers on. So we may well see the hole, but if our focus is the hole itself is more of a blur. So having a real spot rather than the whole golf ball can help. So I can still do the same things with less time over the golf ball. I'm looking, my eyes draw back, focus on the dot, and pull the trigger. I think that's 3 in a row. Is that 3 in a row? I very rarely do that. Maybe I missed the second one. So dot on the ball could just be a real focus point that you keep your head down longer. You may well have heard that Nick Faldo tip about listening for the ball going in within 10 foot, and it's a similar idea. Short range, focus point here, listen for it. May see it in your peripheral vision, but you're not following the ball. On a longer putt, yes, you want to see the end of the roll to see if it misses the hole, how much it curves, so you can start to judge the next putt. But we don't need to know the first 5-10 foot of it. So you're going to stay down focused a little bit longer. For me, that helps players keep their pressure onto their lead side, which is what I really like in putting. I see too many golfers moving up and out of strokes, weight, pressure, going to their trail foot. They tend to lean back, they tend to add loft on and get the ball jumping too much. So I like staying still longer because I feel like the players can keep their pressure onto their lead side that little bit longer. Now the last tip is just going to be about what you could actually do in your stroke. I don't want negative thoughts in there, okay? There's nothing wrong with having a positive in there, but it can be hard to talk yourself into that. Filling your head with something can help, and normally rhythm, tempo related. So what I'm going to ask you to do, if you're someone who struggles with the tempo, whether you feel like, okay, I can stay nice and light at grip pressure at setup, but it's increasing as I swing, what would work really well for you is counting. You could even try humming or all sorts of things, but counting, what I'd be doing is 1, so not rushing through it, a proper second. I'd count to 1, and that would be to my backstroke. 2 would be to the finish of the putt, so the through stroke, where I'm actually finishing on the follow through. So I got to the golf ball in half, so it means 1 was to the backswing, half was to the golf ball, another half was to the finish. So we count 1, 2, 1, 2, okay? So we're actually counting in our own head, 1, 2, 1, 2. So 1's to the backswing, 1, 2. 2's to the finish position, meaning I'm accelerating. I'm not decelerating, I'm slowly accelerating. So I'm in my setup, again, less time over the ball, eyes draw back, 1, 2. Oh, that felt good. Just missed on that left edge. It is a slightly right to left putt. Let's do that again. So long look, eyes draw back, 1, 2. Hold that one. So filling your head with something not particularly technical. It might be TikTok, it might be that you hum or have something in there. 1, 2, I quite like it because it helps that tempo. So we know that we're trying to get to the backstroke in 1, we know that we're trying to get to the finish position in 2, so we know we're accelerating with a smooth acceleration. It's not a rush. 4 tips. I did say it was going to be 3, and I've added 1 extra one in there, so sorry about that, but 4 simple tips. Not that you have to use all of them. Find out what works for you, whether you're practicing your putting at home or on the putting green. Just try a few different options, see what frees up your strokes, helps you hole a few more. This is such a vital range of it. If you can really be very confident for that 6 foot in, take the tension out of it, it's going to make a massive difference to your score. As I mentioned at the start, hit the thumbs up. share it with as many golfers as you can. And if you haven't already, I'd love you guys to subscribe to my channel. It is for free, at least 2 instructional videos a week.